out that it is and that there are solutions.
Well, it's becoming a problem in the league. Now, is it an epidemic? Probably not. But just last week, Jalen Rose had jewelry and money stolen from his locker in Milwaukee at a Pacers-Bucks game. Now, players in the NBA, it's all about, being a great player, and it's all about stardom, and it's all about making money. But with the incidents that have happened over the last few months, you have to start to wonder if the bling bling is putting these guys in danger.
They are rich, they are famous, and increasingly, they are targets. Not just of ardent fans and overzealous groupies, but of criminals.
It's a serious issue because I feel vulnerable at all times.
Since last summer, several NBA players have been the victims of crimes, ranging from snatch and grabs to armed robberies to assault. And if 5 incidents out of 400 players league-wide doesn't sound like a huge number, tell that to the victims.
Me and my friends, and 3 guys pointing guns at you. Your life flashes in front of you, you know what I'm saying?
Celtics forward Antoine Walker and 76ers center Nazr Muhammad were sitting in a car in the early morning hours of last July 2nd, waiting for a Chicago restaurant to open when their vehicle was surrounded by 3 armed men. Walker had $3,000 in cash and a watch worth $55,000 stolen.
It bothered me for like a month. Like a month straight. It really bothered me to where, I always thought about it, you know what I'm saying? Because that was the first time I actually ever had just a gun, pointed right in my chest.
3 weeks later, Houston Rockets guard Steve Francis was robbed by a gunman inside a New York barbershop.
I just think it was just a fluke incident, just signing autographs, out front for the kids, and then all of a sudden, something happened.
That incident came less than a month after Nets guard Stephon Marbury was robbed while sitting in his Bentley convertible at a traffic light outside a New York City nightclub. A man walked up to Marbury's door, reached in, and snatched the chain from around Marbury's neck.
It was a place where Puffy and, people, all types of people go, Chris Rock, Marlon Wayne was there the night that I was there, so it happens, man.
The most serious incident occurred when Celtics forward Paul Pierce was stabbed following an argument in a nightclub.
It was a shock. I didn't realize how badly hurt until after the incident. And the doctors told me, what was going on and what had happened to me.
Local prosecutors maintain that in the early morning hours of last September 25th, Pierce was assaulted inside this popular Boston nightclub by 2 assailants after getting in an argument with the brother of a woman with whom he was speaking. Fortunately for Pierce, a hospital was located just across the street, saving precious minutes.
It's tough, day in and day out, not to really think about it or have different dreams about it, because I'm not going to lie, I have. And when I wake up and I see the different scars on my body when I'm getting up, it's tough not to think about it.
While the league maintains that these are isolated, unrelated incidents, many players nonetheless feel vulnerable.
If I was a regular Anthony Mason, didn't play in the NBA, how many people would approach me in the street? From where I'm from and how I really get down, how many people would approach me in the street? None.
Last fall, a Pennsylvania man pleaded guilty to sending Sixers guard Allen Iverson an email threatening to harm both Iverson and his daughter.
Anything can happen if somebody want to get any one of us, because nowadays we all have significant salaries that, for somebody who has nothing to lose and is willing to go out there and take a shot, it can happen.
Bucks guard Ray Allen had to hire a bodyguard from the Nation of Islam for protection after one of his former employees, suspected of stealing, began making threats against Allen and his family.
My bodyguard, he was with me. He stayed in my house with me. He was with me at all times. Same with my mom. And he went everywhere I went for all of last season. And I felt a lot safer because he was with me at all times. He was trained. He knew how to handle weapons. He had karate skills. So he was definitely trained.
Unlike other professional sports leagues, the NBA does not make its security chief, former New York City detective Horace Ballmer, available for interviews. But Ballmer and his security crew are a constant presence at games and league functions. They also visit teams during the season. And the Players Association strongly recommends to its members that they hire security, preferably off-duty police officers, when attending nightclubs or parties. But only a handful of NBA players, like the Lakers' Shaquille O'Neal, employ a full-time bodyguard.
I really haven't had problems, but could have been some problems. So, Jerome, retired Newark police officer. It's my security. He goes with me everywhere. He watches my back. So, you know, it's just something I have. You know, might be some people out there that want to do something, might not, but it's better to be cautious.
You got to be careful trying to infringe on the rights and saying, here's your security's going to go wherever you're going to go when you leave the court, because I think players then think you have a spy trying to watch what they do.
I don't necessarily like having security, you know, having a guy with me at all the time. I like to be able to maneuver and get up and go as I please. And now in the day of age, you know, it's just not possible sometimes. You know, sometimes you have to have somebody watching your back.
But concerns remain about fan access to players on the road, from the time a team's plane lands to when its players check into local hotels.
When something goes down, you know, it goes Horace Ballmer, and then, you know, it's a league issue, but, you know, we need somebody, I think, at all times that's on the bus, on the planes, and whatever it may be.
Those are the areas that do have me concerned a little more. Is just that, you know, no matter what time you get in, fans tend to find out where you're staying. If you get in at 2 in the morning, or 3 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning, they're out there waiting.
The vast majority of fans are well-meaning, autograph and picture-seeking regular folks who just want a glimpse or a moment with their heroes. And everyone is leery of restricting access in a sport where access to the stars is one of its major draws. But being accessible doesn't have to mean being stupid.
I'm from the inner city, balls from the inner city. We've seen a lot, so you don't really think twice about it. And you know, getting robbed and guys jumping on you, you know, you never think that can happen to you. You know, and they kind of open your eyes. I think you see it happen to certain individuals. Like, I never thought I can get robbed in my own city.
The problem is that, you know, a lot of these guys, they've worked very hard to get what they want, and they want to show what they've got. They want to buy things for themselves. But Fred, that makes them a little vulnerable, and it's a tough situation for the league to handle, and it's even tougher for the players to handle.
It certainly is, and the scary part of it is that when a player achieves, he wants to wear his rings and his gold, and rightfully so, he has the right to do so. But it's so unfortunate that you have a few people out there that will ruin it for the fans. The guys that are out in the clubs or in the street that can walk up and touch a player, talk to him, and those things happen. It happened to me as a player. I've seen it happen to Charles Barkley. I saw it happen to Earl Monroe. I saw it happen to Oscar Robertson. But today now players are afraid to mingle with the public, because if you have to look over your shoulder all the time, it makes it very, very difficult. Somewhere along the line, I'd like to see the players be safe and be able to go, mingle with the fans, enjoy them, because the players, believe me, they are nice people.
And that tentative fear feeds down to signing autographs, and who does that hurt the most? The kids. Without a doubt, every time. Time now for tonight's question. We turn to the end-to-end Hoop Squad All-Star World Be Freer for all that information. Who was the All-Star Game MVP the only other time the game was held in the nation's capital? The answer is forthcoming.
Try to think of us as the Osmonds, only we don't get along.
They've got his style.
What is it with those sideburns?
They've got his moves. They've got a plan.
Ready to play? Always ready to play.
Elvis isn't the only one who can bring down the house. Kurt Russell. Let's do it. Kevin Costner. Courtney Cox.
Are you nuts? Probably.
3,000 Miles to Graceland. Rated R. Starts Friday, February.
NBA Tonight is a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. This NBA Tonight All-Star Edition is brought to you by American Airlines, giving you more room throughout coach. And by Nissan, driven.
As for tonight's question, who was the All-Star Game MVP? The only other time the game was held in D.C. The survey says the Iceman cometh in 1980. Gervin played for the East team. Did have some finger roll activity when the Spurs played in the Eastern Conference. Had a game-high 34 to lift the East to the overtime victory. In the second half, we'll find out what team will come out of the dominant West. When I say dominant, a lot of teams that will win 50 or more games. And then in the East, which team? The Bucks, the Sixers, the Heat, the Knicks that'll emerge out of that area? Or is there a team that we haven't really thought of at this point? So, Fred, let's start with you. What do you expect in the second half?
I expect nothing but excitement, especially in the Western Conference. Think about this. 5 teams that can have the best record in the Western Conference, and they know they need it. Why? Because when you play through there, you better have home court advantage if you expect to advance to the Western Conference Finals. In the Eastern Conference, think about this. Boston Celtics have gotten back into the playoff picture, so we're going to have a dogfight in both conferences. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, what I'm looking forward to is guys coming back from injuries. Avery Johnson and Sean Elliott in San Antonio. Darvin Ham, a guy in Milwaukee, I think really is going to help them. And another guy, Derek Fisher for the Lakers, should be back sometime around March 1st. That's going to help the Lakers a lot. Eric Snow should be back this weekend, probably Tuesday.
Well, I'm looking forward to doing wonderful NBA Tonights in the second half of the season. And you know what? We can't do it without the Into and Hoop Squad. We're talking about Mitch Smith, Peter Rymack, Mia Harris, Shonda Goward, Larry Campbell, all the great folks, Michael Freer, our coordinating producer, Julie Mariash, the Call Daddy, Mark Cautella, as well as our fine producer, Chris Lundberg, and the man who punches all the activities. Kurt W. Ackerman. Here's the rest of the first half.